Hey everybody, it's Trent from Austin Custom Brass. Hope you're having a fantastic day out there today. Today's mini lesson installment is about how to adjust to all the different mouthpieces that are on the market. Now, ideally you want to find your own mouthpiece and focus on that. In this case, people ask me all the time, what mouthpiece do you play? And I say, what hour is it? And I'll look at my watch and it's like 1:50. Oh, well, it's this. I've actually got myself a little bit into trouble by playing every mouthpiece in my line. In fact, when I test new mouthpieces, that's something I do. I take them for a while and play them. In this case, this mouthpiece is my TA1 CS. The TA1 is my TA1 rim that was modeled loosely off of Clark Terry's custom piece that Giornelli made him. Clark gave me a set of his mouthpieces many years ago. I made it a little bit friendlier, we'll say, and a little bit bigger as well. So it's about a 4 or 5 in diameter, depending on where you measure. It's a good all-around mouthpiece. The CS cup, which I'll show you, is not too deep, not too shallow. I'll give you a little clip on it. So I'll play a standard excerpt from a jazz song. Like I always love testing on In a Sentimental Mood. And even taking that up a second octave. So this seems to do a lot for me, but say I wanted a really dark sound. Now, we make a lot of different depths in our line. There'll be links to mouthpieces in the description of all the videos, so you can just check them out at Acb. This is our Acb Tf Mouthpiece, which is to replicate the sound of a trumpet or a flugelhorn, like kind of warmer, richer. It's a nice mouthpiece to play if you're playing in a small group and there are people right in front of you and you want to play softly. It's a nice mouthpiece if you don't want to carry a flugelhorn around. We even make a deeper depth, which is called our FX. But this mouthpiece needs acclimation too. You just don't whip it up and go. I mean, first of all, I'd have to pull my tuning slide in. You can see the pitch is much flatter. I have to remind people that I do this for a living, so I test mouthpieces all the time. A couple tips when you're dealing with new mouthpieces. First, do bends. If you've watched any of these mini lessons, you know how much I love bending exercises. They're like my trumpet vegetables, my 500 milligrams of potassium every day, whatever you want to say. Do some bends to find really where the center of the note wants to walk in. Try to do that. Do some bends into slurs. A lot of times we want to do slurs and we want to do them almost immediately. Just try to do a bend into a slur. And then also upwards. You'll find where the resistance point is on a mouthpiece, because this mouthpiece is going to be different than this mouthpiece, which is going to be different than this mouthpiece, which is a much shallower, that's my word of the day, shallower mouthpiece. This is the 127, which is based off an old vintage Alcast mouthpiece. I'll do the same thing. And when you're testing mouthpieces, try to play the exact same thing. Now, it could be an Arbin exercise, it could be a Charlier, it could be a Brandt exercise. It doesn't necessarily matter. If you're trying to get a mouthpiece for lead playing, maybe you should play a short excerpt for lead playing. Try to play the same thing and play short excerpts on it, 4/8 measures. Once you dial things down and get to maybe 3 or 4 different mouthpieces that are really close, then you can elongate the process, of course. Should feel better immediately. A lot of people think, oh, I'm going to work into a mouthpiece. I don't really see that. The only time that is the case when you're doing something that's wildly different than your current setup. For instance, if you're working on an FX, or if you were ever going to be a brave soul and try to play the Gato, which is Cat Anderson's copy. But here's that bending exercise on this mouthpiece. find the slot of this mouthpiece much easier because the resistance is a little bit more closely similar to the mouthpiece that I play. Say you're working on, you want a real large diameter. This is the biggest mouthpiece I make that's not custom. This is called the Papa Bear, which is bigger than a Bach 1X or Monet B11. Now, I wouldn't necessarily play in a sense I'm going to move up an octave on this mouthpiece, but it still works once I learned how to acclimate to it. Bending exercises, bending exercises, bending exercises. And then, okay, well, good luck. I don't really play this mouthpiece that well, and it sounds just awful when I play it. Yeah, great, huh? Shuts off for me. So that obviously is a mouthpiece that I don't actually play much. I don't know if this makes much sense. We'll elaborate, hopefully via lots of your questions that you might have on this video. If you have questions, just put them here or email us at info@austinCustomBrass.com. Take a moment, click right above James's head here. That's the subscribe button on our YouTube channel to stay in touch with all of our updates. We really appreciate your support. Hope you enjoyed this very informal video. Take care and have a great weekend. Or weekday if you're watching it later on the week. Cheers.